Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Hi guys. Many of you got in touch with me regarding the last video that I did with Vinny B, our collaboration and our Q&A episode. And what a lot of you wanted to know was a bit more about one of my favorite quotes from the Buddha. Many of you asked if I would mind expanding on that and doing a vlog on that quote. So hopefully by the end of this episode you'll have a much better understanding of what the Buddha's statement, our life is shaped by our mind, and what that means for us in this modern world. Now, this ancient quote from the Buddha is found in the first and opening verse of the Dhammapada, an ancient Buddhist text that can be likened to Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. A lot of commentators would say that it's one of the essential Buddhist texts, and it's not high-minded philosophy. It's very simple to understand. So it's one that's close to my heart because it's really relative to our daily life, and a lot of Buddha's teaching were. This statement from the Buddha is arguably one of the easiest crossovers from ancient religion to modern psychology and mental health and well-being. I mean, if you think about it, our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. And just take that in your daily life, in people that you know and love. If someone's habitual thought patterns is a negative one, they can't help but see the world as negative. And if you know anyone who's an optimist, who sees the glass as half full, then they find the good in everything. They're able to see the good in whatever's going on. And so that's a very clear example of how our life is shaped by our mind. But I'm going to unpack it a little bit more for you. Control of the mind is one of the most difficult undertakings that we could ever imagine beginning. I mean, if you think about the life of a Buddhist monk, you know, their whole life is for that. They go to the monastery and they meditate for 8 to 10 hours a day. They remove all of the external world and its influences on them, and it's still difficult for them to conquer their mind. Thoughts from the past still come up. So if a Buddhist monk has a hard time doing it, what hope do we have in our modern daily lives with all the distractions? Now, Mahatma Gandhi once mentioned about someone who wanted to undertake to control their mind, and he said, anyone beginning this undertaking requires the patience of someone trying to empty the sea with a teacup. So that was Mahatma Gandhi's outlook on someone who wanted to gain more control and focus on their mind. Now, what the Buddha didn't say in his epic text, the Dhammapada, what we've learned in modern life from the psychological discoveries, is that our mind, when we become a mature adult, has been shaped in a way by our upbringing and early life experiences. So it begs the question, did our minds create the world, or did our worlds create our mind? I think there's definitely much truth in both of these things. Obviously, when you're a child growing up, depending on how your parents are, will have an impact on how you see the world. Depending on how your social group and your friends are, will have an impact in how you view the world. Depending on how you did at school, will have an impact on how you view the world. But one of the main things I'd like to get across with this video is that now, right now, if you learn the truth in the statement that our life is shaped by our mind, then you're able to take back control. And if you have a tendency to be down and depressed and negative, you have a choice now to try and see the world in a more positive light, and just watch those thoughts as they recur and as they gather speed and you go on a downward spiral. With practice, you're able to capture that, to see it happening, and you can, when you feel yourself going on a slippery downward slope of negativity and depression, you can put a stop to it. Again, it's no easy thing to do, but with practice and determination, I think anyone can take back more control. And so, yes, there's no doubt that our upbringing and early experience in life have a huge part to play in shaping who we become as young adults. But as I just mentioned, when you uncover some of these truths, then we can take back control and move our life in the direction we want it to go. The following 2 verses of the opening of the Dhammapada, the Buddha continues. He says, "Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Suffering follows an evil thought, as the wheels of a cart follow the oxen that draw it. Joy follows a pure thought, like a shadow that never leaves." Again, that gives us even more insight into our inner mental life, and that if we're having regular negative thoughts, they stay with us. They follow us like the cart follows the oxen. There's nothing you can do about it. But at the same time, if you have pure thoughts, if you have happy thoughts and joyous thoughts, then they're going to follow you. So it comes down to, how do we want to think? How do we choose to think? How do we want to view our world? And there's an old Hindu fable, I suppose, that represents this really nicely and paints a picture. And so I'm going to refer to my copy of the Dhammapada, a translation by Eknath Eshwaran, and there's other ones too. You'll find many translations, but I really love this one, and I'm going to read it to you, because it's better if I read it verbatim than if I try and memorize it and look really clever and try and read it by heart and get it wrong. So I'll read this short fable that will allow us to see more clearly how our life is shaped by our mind. There were 2 men, one high-minded and generous, the other selfish, who were sent to foreign lands and asked to tell what kind of people they found there. The first reported that he found people basically good at heart, not very dissimilar to those he found at home. The second man felt envious hearing this, for in the place he visited, everyone was selfish, scheming and cruel. Of course, both were describing the same land. We see as we are. And so this is just another example, another story and picture that goes to emphasize the point that our life is shaped by our mind and that we become what we think. These 2 men, they go to the same territory, to the same place, but one sees the place he's visited in one way and the other one sees it in quite a different way. Even to the point where they come back to their superiors to report, and it's like they're talking about different places. And the selfish man is almost jealous that the other man went to a better place than he did, whereas ultimately they're in the same place. So it's clear to see that how our mind is how our life is. And so when we begin to change ourselves, we've already begun to change the world. When we begin taking back control of our mind and to see the glasses as half full instead of half empty, and to try and be more happy regardless of what's going on around us, when we try to see the good where it might be difficult to see, we've already begun to make a difference. I just want to share one more quote from the Buddha that can be very helpful going forward. Like Gandhi said, this is a huge task to undertake, and we mustn't expect to achieve it over a weekend. It's like a lifelong thing, but the benefits are unbelievable. The benefits outweigh the effort 100 to 1. And so what the Buddha said was, little by little we make ourselves good, as a bucket fills with water, drop by drop. More razor sharp logic from the Buddha, that you can't deny this fact that a bucket fills with water drop by drop, and the only way to become a better person is little by little, day by day, keep chipping away and watching ourselves, watching our mind. So I hope that video and my commentary on the opening verse of the Dhammapada helped you somewhat to see maybe some of your mental processes, maybe how some of your early life is impacting your current state, how your mental processes and your regular thought patterns have shaped your life. There's only one thing to do when we learn a truth like this, and that's take back control and do what we can to make our lives better. If you haven't seen the last episode, I did my first collaboration with fellow vlogger Vinny B. We had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and it's helped me to be a bit more comfortable just with me and the camera now. And yeah, I'm just going to keep moving forward. So if you haven't subscribed and you enjoy this and want to see more content like this, be sure to click the subscribe and like button, and then that way when I release a new vlog, you'll be notified and you can be the first one to see it. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.